First and foremost, what we need to do is we need to set up something. We need to stand up something, whether that is using a VM inside a VirtualBox or using Docker. We need to stand up something that we can use in a safe, legal, and ethical way to practice and to learn how to use all of these tools that come with Kali Linux. You do not want to just start using this on targets you don't have permission to use them on. You want to do this in a safe way, a legal way, an ethical way. You do not want the feds or the FBI banging on your door pretending that they are Spectrum or however they do it nowadays.
Welcome to Fresh Forensics, your go-to destination for everything Linux.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. All right, it's Linux time, baby. Let's go. I got my Kali Linux VM open and running, very dedicated. As promised, we're about to start putting out videos dealing with Kali Linux. I put out a poll to my viewers. They responded by saying that they want more videos on Kali Linux. So I'm going to give people what they want. I'm going to give the people what they're asking for. Currently it is Monday, July 21st, 7:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2025, baby. Now, I am running Kali Linux 2025.2. First thing that you're going to want to do, no matter which machine that you're running Kali Linux on, whether it's bare metal or whether it's Raspberry Pi, virtual machine, whatever the case may be, we're going to go ahead and run the sudo apt update command with a -y, and this is to update our repositories that contain all of the latest versions of various packages. It says that 51 packages can be upgraded. We can run apt list -- upgradable to see them. I always like to take a quick look at them and see what packages can be updated. I don't see anything that's going to interfere with what I'm trying to do, so I'm going to hold off on the upgrade. First and foremost, what we need to do is we need to set up something. We need to stand up something, whether that is using a VM inside a VirtualBox or using Docker. We need to stand up something that we can use in a safe, legal, and ethical way to practice and to learn how to use all of these tools that come with Kali Linux. You do not want to just start using this on targets you don't have permission to use them on. You want to do this in a safe way, a legal way, an ethical way. You do not want the feds or the FBI banging on your door pretending that they are Spectrum or however they do it nowadays. Okay, you want to do things very safely, very legally, very ethically. So while most people are probably very anxious to get into all of these different tools such as reconnaissance and resource development, initial access, privilege escalation, credential access, lateral movement, all of these wonderful things, command and control, exfiltration. It's all very fun, it's all amazing to learn, but you have to do it in a safe way. So this is the part where most people they don't like this part, like, oh, we got to go through this whole thing to set up a vulnerable virtual machine or whatever the case may be, but it is extremely important that you take the time to do that. All right, so I'm going to make this as quick and easy as I can. We're going to be installing Docker, so I'm going to run the command sudo apt install docker.io and Y for yes. What we are going to do is we're going to stand up a Docker container that is running the OWASP juice shop. We're also going to stand up a Docker container that is running the damn vulnerable web app. And these will be our targets to learn how to use many of the tools that I'm going to be demonstrating for you. So now that Docker is installed, we're going to start Docker and we're going to enable Docker by running the following commands: sudo systemctl start Docker and sudo systemctl enable Docker. Now we should be able to run docker -- version and get back the current version of Docker installed on this system. And there we go. You should also be able to run Docker with -- help and pull up a very extensive help menu. And there we go. So we have all of our various Docker subcommands. Alright, now when you install Docker on any Linux system, including Kali Linux, it requires root privileges to interact with the Docker daemon. So we're going to add the user to the Docker group, which will allow that user to run Docker commands without needing to prefix them with sudo. If I run the groups command, it will tell you all of the groups that the current user is a part of. We do not see Docker listed in this current list. So let's go ahead and add the user to the Docker group, and then we'll rerun the command to verify that the user has been added to the group. So the command to do that is going to be sudo usermod -a G. Then you provide it with the group that you are adding the user to. That group is the Docker group, and then you give it the user that you are adding to the group, and the user for me is Kali. Now if I rerun the groups command, I do have to specify the user. I did not do that originally, but if I rerun the groups command and give it the current user, which is Kali, you will see that it has been added to the Docker group. Now an additional thing that we're going to do is we're going to install Docker Compose. If I do apt search Docker Compose, we'll get back that it is used to define and run multi-container applications with the Docker program. So I'm going to go ahead and install that by running sudo apt install docker -compose. Alright, so Docker has a lot of subcommands. Once again, we can run Docker with -- help. It will pull up many of those. We can search for Docker containers straight from the command line by running Docker search and then putting in a name. So let's go ahead and see what comes up if we search for juice shop. And I do need to add sudo onto that. Only reason being because I have not logged out. I need to log out and log back in order for the change that I made, adding it to the group, for that to take effect. I'll do that in a moment. So when I run the Docker search command on juice shop, you see that we get several hits back, but this first one at the top, this is going to be the one that we want. This is the official image for the juice shop. Now what we can also do is we can head over to the home page. We can head over to the GitHub page, because there's also a GitHub page for this. So let's go ahead and type in GitHub, and then I'm going to type in juice shop. So this is the OWASP juice shop, probably the most modern and sophisticated insecure web application. And the purpose of this is so that we can use this to learn, to train on, to become aware of how to use all of these tools and do so in a safe, legal, and ethical way. So if you scroll down the page, there are numerous ways to install this and get this up and running, but we're doing this using Docker. So it actually gives you the instructions right here on the page, and these are the instructions that we're going to follow. But before I do that, I'm going to back up a second, and we ran that command to add the current user to the Docker group, but it hasn't actually taken effect yet, and that is because we need to log out and log back in. So I want to go ahead and quickly do that. Alright, so after logging out, logging back in, open up a terminal and verify that this is working. If it is, I should be able to run Docker commands without having to prefix them with sudo. So I will once again do a search for Juice Shop. And this time that search is successful. We do not have to prefix it with sudo. Alright, so we're interested in this very first one, the verified Docker image, the official Docker image for Juice Shop. Taking the instructions straight from the GitHub page, we're going to first pull the Docker image by running docker pull, providing the name of the image. So I'm going to actually just copy that command from the GitHub page. Paste it in and hit enter. This is going to be to start the container up. The --rm, it will remove the container once we shut it down. It's going to be running on the local host 127.0.0.1 on port 3000, and then we should be able to browse to the following IP address to access it. Alright, so I'll go ahead and paste that command into the terminal and hit enter. You can see that the server is listening on port 3000. Port 3000 is available, which is obviously a good thing. If it were not available, then we would have to utilize a different port number. As far as the -p:3000, what that is basically doing is it is mapping the container's port to the port on the local machine. So we're using 3000 for the port on the container, and it's being mapped to port 3000 on our local machine. Okay, so if everything is working properly, then we should be able to access the Juice Shop via the Docker container by typing in http://localhost, and this is going to be on port 3000. And there we go. So welcome to the OWASP Juice Shop. This is a web app with a vast number of intended security vulnerabilities. And this is a wonderful project. It is, of course, open source, and it is hosted by the awesome nonprofit Open Worldwide Application Security Project, better known as OWASP. Okay, so we got this up and running. Before we go any further into it, we're going to go back to the terminal. We're going to open up another tab. And now we are going to do a Docker search for the damn vulnerable web app. We get back numerous hits. You can see that this first one has 39 stars. This second one has 75 stars. Okay, so of the first two options that we have, they both seem to be legitimate, safe Docker images when it comes to the damn vulnerable web app. But to my understanding, if we're looking for the one that has more ease of use, we would want to go with the second one. And that is the one that I'm going to go to. It also has the most stars, which is also a safe bet. So So we're going to go ahead and run the docker poll command. I'm going to copy and paste in that name. Okay, so now that we have pulled the Docker image, we can actually run Docker image list, I believe it is, and it will list both of our current Docker images. You can see that both of them are listed here. You can also run Docker image ls. You can run Docker ps. That will show us the current one that is actually up and running. All right, so now we're going to start up this Docker container. We're going to do so by running docker run. We're going to do --rm to remove the Docker image when we are done with it. We're going to do a -p, and we are already using port 3000, so we're going to have to map this to a different port number. So I'm going to use 80 on the Docker container, and we're going to map it to port 80 on our local machine. And then once again, we have to provide it with the name of the Docker image, which is citizen_DVWA. Everything appears to be running successfully, so let's go ahead and go back over to the web browser, and let's see if we can reach this Docker container by typing http://localhost, and this time instead of port 3000 we're going to specify port 80. Actually, we shouldn't need to specify any port at all since we mapped this to port 80, but just to be on the safe side, I'll go ahead and include it. And here we go, we have the damn vulnerable web app. So we now very quickly, very easily, using Docker and Docker Compose, we were able to stand up both Juice Shop and the damn vulnerable web app. And this is very important. We have them both running at the same time. And now some of the tools that we're going to continue to explore, we can do so in a safe way, and we can point those tools at these vulnerable websites. All right, so one thing that we still need to do is finish setting up the damn vulnerable web application. If we go over here to the IP address and port number for the Docker container, we're brought to this page right here. It says we have to set up the database. It tells us to click on the create reset database button to create or reset the database, so I'll go ahead and do that. The database has now been created. The users table was created, and now we are redirected to this page right here where we need to provide the username and password in order to get access to this. Now, before we make any changes to it, we should be able to access this using the default username and password. And the default username should be admin with a capital A. Password should be password, all lowercase. And there we go. That brings us to this page where we are welcome to the damn vulnerable web application. And this is where we can make various choices as to how we want this web page on this Docker container to be configured in order to practice certain things. So for example, if we were practicing command injection, then we simply would click on command injection and follow the general instructions for that. We're not going to do that just yet, but we now do have this properly set up and we are ready to go. If I go back down to the terminal and take a look at the logs, everything appears to be running correctly.
If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Linux, cybersecurity, and hacking content. And as always, keep learning
and stay fresh.
I'll see you in the next video. Fresh forensics is a way of life, you heard me? Check out the GitHub repo, baby. github.com/DouglasFreshHabian.
Fresh forensics, baby.